Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and today we're going to take a look at a few of the aquariums in my fish room that I think are particularly successful, as well as talk about some upcoming events. Now, next Saturday, February 1st, I'll be in Pompano Beach, Florida to speak to the Gold Coast Aquarium Society, and I'll be giving a lecture at 10:30 a.m. More information about all the events I mentioned can be found on my website under the Events tab. The next day, February 2nd at noon, I'll be in Miami at Neighborhood Fish Farm to do a meet and greet. I hope many of you will come out to these two events. I think it should be really fun. Now, right now, we're looking at my Hillstream aquarium, and this is an aquarium that was the very first build on my channel. And one of the reasons I think it's so successful is there's just so many layers of fish, and as you sit and watch this aquarium, fish just come out of the woodwork, and it's super, super fun. Now, it's nowhere near done being stocked, but that's something I hope to work on this year. This is a 150-gallon aquarium. This is a Carib Sea supernatural substrate. It is pretty heavily planted, but all with easy, low-tech plants. And I don't use any fertilizers. The lighting on this are Current USA True Lumens. I have 4 of them over the top of this aquarium. It is hardscaped with river rocks and manzanita driftwood, and as we look around you can just see how many interesting little Hillstream fish are in here. Now, the filtration on this aquarium is a corner matin filter with a modified FX5 that gives it about a 20 time per hour turnover rate, and that's because all of these fish have those specialized needs. They really appreciate high oxygen content and high flow. And the reason I chose this particular gravel is for the breeding of the loaches, which they've been doing pretty readily. Now, I rarely see fry, but the numbers are always increasing. Recently, I added in a new species of goby, which was the Rhinogobius maze face that you can see here, and they are doing super awesome. I do also plan to add some more of the Sowelia SEW01 that I have in quarantine, which are breeding readily in there, by the way, to this aquarium as well, and then get more of the rainbow shiners. And then I'm not sure what else I'm going to do with this aquarium. It is constantly evolving, and I just think it's super, super fun and successful to watch. Now, if you're interested in more information on those Sowelia and their breeding, I will have a species spotlight coming out this Sunday. In this aquarium, I do feed Rapashi Soylent Green, which is a powder that you mix with boiling water to make a gelatinized food. And that's because a lot of the grazers in this aquarium are off-flux grazers. So I try and take into consideration those specialized needs by having a lot of light that grows algae and film on all of the surfaces, but also by supplementing with a diet that has a lot of algae as well as microcrustaceans. Right now I'm doing ONIP because it really does bring all of the fish out for us to be able to visualize them, but that is not a staple diet in this aquarium. But I just think it's super, super fun, and a lot of you guys have been asking in the comments how this tank is doing since the move. It's doing great. I'm not having any algae issues. I clean the glass about once a month. I do water changes each week of about 30%. And all in all, everybody just seems really, really happy. And this is an aquarium I would love to try and recreate on a smaller scale at some point, perhaps in a 20 long or a 40 breeder, to show you guys some more options for these species. But I really think this really large tank for all these small species is just absolutely bonkers cool. I do need to address the light scatter in the room to be able to film it better for you guys. That is in the agenda as well. In March, I will be at the Big Fish Deal 8 at the Holiday Inn in Gaithersburg, Maryland. This is a single-day event that will have raffles, an auction at night, a marketplace, vendors, and a bunch of YouTubers are coming to do demos. And of course, I'll be there to hang out as well. This is what I consider my home club, so I'm always there. This is my 75-gallon community aquarium that has tetras and some rasboras and a bunch of panda cories and some pyrrolina, which are false splash tetra. And this is the aquarium that I set up with sand, and a lot of you guys ask about this in the comments, so I just wanted to give you an update. The vast majority of the plants are doing quite well. The Blixa doesn't look super awesome, but it's something that really could use some additional fertilization. And again, like most of my aquariums, This aquarium has no CO2, no filtrate, or no fertilizers, and it's also lit with 2 of the true lumens. And one of the reasons I switched out to those lights is I wanted more of a white light appearance for filming and just for my own personal enjoyment, and I think it's worked out pretty well. There's not a ton of growth on the plants, but again, no real algae issues, and everything's looking pretty good. The fish are thriving, and overall, I'm very, very happy with how this aquarium has done. And I'm not done stocking this one either. I think I want to add a pair of dwarf cichlids in here, and maybe something a bit more colorful, maybe something with some red. I don't know. I've got a lot of figuring out to do with the stocking of a lot of my aquariums. I put a lot of time and thought into it because I keep these things running for the duration for years and years and years, and a lot of my fish live for a really long time. So I want to make sure I pick things that I'm going to want to work with for a long time. Again, this is planted with low light plants, pretty easy plants, and I tend to choose things that I know will survive my lack of fertilization and CO2. One thing I would like to do this year is set up my first ever high-tech aquarium. I think it would be good for us to share learning that process together. It's just something I've never done because I've always been concerned that with my hectic schedule, I would not be able to keep up with it. But I think if I choose the right size tank, I'll be able to manage. Let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments. Up next, we're going to look at my 75-gallon South American community of nanofish. And this is an aquarium that I think is a really excellent example of redefining nano. All of the fish in here are pretty small and historically are kept in small aquariums. But the thing that I like best about this aquarium is how all the fish behave because they're in really large groups. I have 30 plus of the otocinclus, of the green neons, and of those barred pencilfish. And because I have so many, you really see how they interact with each other and the environment that I've provided here. Now, this aquarium does have a high-tech substrate. This is the Tropica substrate, and you can tell that the crypts are doing really, really well because of that. But again, no additional fertilization, no CO2. It does get a little bit of hair algae, but I just switched the lights out on this one to a new light being put out by Current USA. And so far things are bouncing back really good. I was getting a lot of like spotting on a lot of my Anubias and Bucephalandras in here. And since I've changed out the lights, I see a ton of new healthy growth. So this week I went in and I trimmed off a lot of the most badly affected leaves in order to jumpstart that growth and really give this aquarium an opportunity to have the plants outcompete the algae. It does get a bit of green spot algae as well on the glass, but this is really easily removed during my weekly maintenance. It also has some apistogrammas, as you see here. But again, just another really, really fun tank to watch, and it's right beside my chair because it's one of my favorites. Now, you guys saw me set up for these wild betta mahachiensis, and they're doing awesome. Now, they haven't started bubble nesting in these aquariums yet, but the fish are firing up, and particularly in the evening, the female we see here gets really dark and gets vertical bars, which means it's not going to be long, I think, before these guys start actively spawning. Now, this is the divided 20 long, and I put a pair on each side, but I did very different setups. This setup is more of a rock setup. It does have a bunch of low-tech plants that go all the way up to the surface in order to help support the bubble nest that this male will eventually make. But really, within about 12 hours of adding these pairs to this aquarium, the males were fully fired up and looking fantastic. The other side of this divided setup has a lot of botanicals and just mainly some guppy grass and Pogostemon octopus. And that's because I wanted to sort of show you guys some of the different strategies you can use to set up for these fish. Now, again, these are a hard water or even brackish water betta, so you can have a lot of versatility in their setup. And I have a ton of these at the house, and eventually someday I'll update my stock list for those of you who are interested in trying to work with them. But I'm pretty excited to document the process of breeding these guys. I haven't bred any bubble nesters. I've only bred mouth brooding bettas, so I'm pretty excited with this project. And I think it's very successful. And I use the divider from Life with Pets, and it is excellent. I've been really, really impressed at the quality, the ease of installation, and how stable it is within the aquarium. Now, I did go into these tanks today and turn down the bubble output of my sponge filtration a little bit because I was concerned it was causing too much surface rippling for them to be able to bubble nest properly. This may be my inexperience showing, so let me know if you guys have experience with bubble nesters down in the comments if that's something I should be concerned about. But clearly, these guys are fired up. And next, I wanted to just show you a peek at a pair of my common cribs. These are Pelvica chromis, and I have them in my blacktail killer tank with my high pancistris contradens and a bunch of ancistris. And they have recently been showing a lot of breeding behavior. And I don't generally pool these eggs or fry to raise because this is a really common dwarf cichlid. But I just put them in this tank to see what would happen. And if they raise fry, I'd be happy to have some. So I'll be sure to keep you updated on that as well. Now, this tank is super old, super scratched up, pretty ugly, and is full of fish that poop a lot. So it's not the most beautiful, but I did go in this week and sort of rearrange some of my pleco caves, the driftwood, and the plants. And this, as with all my aquariums, also got upgraded lighting. So I'm hopeful that some of the issues this aquarium have will resolve in time. I wanted to mention in April, at April 18th, I'll be in Slidell, Louisiana for Aquafest, and then I will be attending Aquashella in Dallas, Texas, May 16th to 17th. And that's all I have firmed up in my schedule for this year, but I hope to meet a lot of you there.